Some people get concerned about whether all hardships in life could be endured. Are challenges sent to us by the Lord? Let's try to look into this. First of all, we have to admit that there are certain examples of dire, horrible fate which could be only possibly explained by some algorithms running somewhere beyond the area of our understanding. This is about birth defects and deformities or cancer at a young age, something like that. We just write them off as manifestations of divine order which cannot be conceived by such lesser creature as humans. Nevertheless, by and large, hardships are actually not sent to us from above. Challenges are products of our own activity. People themselves are creators of problems in their lives. This is based on two aspects. Firstly, our stupidity, and secondly, the strength of character. Stupidity determines the fact that we have difficulty seeing the obvious. The force of character makes us bullheaded in our delusions and impels us to continue destroying ourselves. Let's take a look, for example, at the situation where a young man decided to join a gym and get bulked up in order to be respected among men and popular among women. So he's been going there for, let's say, a year. Muscles are growing indeed, but fundamentally he is the same guy as he was a year ago, and therefore there is no desired reverence nor love for him. But the man spends his time, money, and other resources doing this. There should be an explanation, a purpose given to himself to justify the expenses. Consequently, the guy gets really bothered and makes up a really far-fetched super goal to have grounds for importance of his activity. He starts to believe in the myth that everybody already loves and respects him. Sticking to this illusion instead of doing something reasonable in life makes the man devote himself to the gym. Needless to say, with such an approach, problems are not late in coming. Firstly, he picks up an injury, but quitting is not an option already, and he, being traumatized, just keeps training. Naturally, health condition gradually becomes worse, though the man gets more and more determined not to stop. Mental problems are only a matter of time, and they will reveal themselves for sure. A possible effect might be getting into trouble on work. The man, for example, gets canned. Now that he has no money for the gym and the medicine for his injuries, his inner tensions grow more and more violent. The man does more and more stupid things, thereby descending into his personal nightmare. As a result, a feeling of being a hapless victim, constantly beaten by life, arises. Nevertheless, he is not able to stop as his self esteem is firmly tied with the gym. Quitting the training would mean self abandonment and devaluing of all past years of hard work. Often enough, people would choose to die instead of admitting that they just wasted a few years of their life. Stupidity and the force of character makes us go deeper and deeper in delusions. Indeed, if you go the wrong way, at some point you have to find strength to give up, to accept the fact that you made a wrong decision, that you've been recklessly wasting your resources. The society, in its turn, will continue supporting the guy's misbeliefs as our success is not in its interests. Never give up, go on, be a man, they say. And the person gets drained more and more. So, obviously, all these hardships are not God sent. They are engendered by so-called tug of war between our unconscious, that knows exactly what we have to do in this life and where to go, and our intellect that refuses to listen and feel. To put it in a nutshell, if you think that the God himself personally caused problems, you strongly overestimate yourself. Our unconscious doesn't mean any harm to us. As simple as it might be, unconscious is just uncompromising, very little else. It has his own agenda for us that we should stick to. Indeed, this is merely a problem of our stupidity and stubbornness when we don't want to listen to our unconscious and change the trajectory of life. Sure enough, the society plays not the last role in all this. Thanks to the myth that devoting the whole life to a single area of activity is the only way to achieve success. But the process of living implies constant changes, and this is not a figure of speech, but the guideline for action. Let's say every 12 to 15 years we have to make drastic differences to our life. if only because we naturally accumulate problems in our psyche, in our health, in our area of activity. Sooner or later, everything starts collapsing, so we need a reset. New beginnings are always difficult as they imply leaving your comfort zone, rejecting past beliefs and convictions. But it must be done nevertheless, as only via starting something new we manage to get rid of past problems. Moreover, even chronic ailments that we accumulated might recede. It's a different matter that problems gradually show up in a new field as well, but they are different and don't pop up out of nowhere all at the same time. It's a long cumulative process. Changes are always frightening, yet required. Often making difference could be dangerous indeed. Your present activity is the source of living, and you can't quit because you will end up being without money. But in this case, it's not so much a question of what our body is busy with as our head. If we are unable to get away from the activity that brings money, there is an option, anyhow, to find something really captivating and look in that direction. Set your mind on that. Whereas current tasks can be done by rote, without deep involvement. Even if they are done in a slapdash manner, no big deal. The only thing that matters is keeping yourself afloat. As aside from money, you don't need anything from the present. Problems will start to dissolve as soon as we take the step that our unconscious is longing for. It's absolutely not of a great import if that step will not be fortunate. Moving is a good thing in its essence, no matter what. And rest assured, sooner or later, you will get somewhere. So, the biblical verse about trials according to one's capabilities is fair on the one hand. On the other hand, who puts us through challenges? We do that ourselves. Only our stupidity and stubbornness trammels us from seeing the reality as it is. Often it's unpleasant. You take that poor gym guy who spent years on bulking up in the hope to be respected and loved. He achieved neither one thing nor the other. This is a really painful and terrifying thing to accept. We take pity on ourselves and avoid facing such gloomy truth. But here you will have to choose whether to end up being a dead hero or a full of energy traveler moving toward his dream. Oddly enough, when we face and accept our mistakes, it becomes clear that those actually were necessary elements of our path that gave us something to proceed from and continue moving along the road of life. Remember, our burden of problems is bound to grow heavier and heavier until we either give up, stop, and accept the errors of our ways, or simply die.